Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Ishvaro Guratmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Yom Avadvyaptadeyaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Sadguru Pranatosmyam Oh, now there's 7, 8, 9. Let's see, 9. I think we did this, but I'll just repeat it. Clinging to life is the most salient characteristic of the I sense. Both educated and uneducated people cling to life and are averse to death. Because they identify with the body, they think they will die. And you won't identify with the body if you understand the body's only an object known to you. When the mind is resolved in its source, these obstacles are removed. So the question is, how do you resolve the mind in the source? And yoga says, well, you practice samadhi. And Vedanta says, you gain the knowledge through listening, reflecting, and assimilating that knowledge. And, we already read this. The mind is temporarily resolved in nirvikalpa samadhi. Nirvikalpa means, vikalpa means the thoughts, and nirvikalpa means without thoughts. It is also resolved by knowledge that the mind and the world are only apparently real, mithya. So both. A mind resolved in its source is a self-realized mind that knows it is what? Unborn, eternal existence shining as consciousness. So what? So it doesn't cling to life. Doesn't mean it doesn't enjoy life. It enjoys life fully. When you're not clinging, you really enjoy. When you're clinging, you're not enjoying, because the clinging means what? You have a doubt. You're not free. It means you're hanging on to something. You're just letting go. When you let go, letting go, you get the full pleasure of every second of life, every minute. Life just exploding in value and meaning. So beautiful. It's so amazing. You're just like in a state of wonder and awe at how it is. And how do you, the active, he says, verse 11, the active form of obstacles, the passive form is the vasanas that are generating those obstacles, but the active form of obstacles can be what? Neutralized through meditation. By samadhi, a yogi can remove cognized obstacles. Cognized means known obstacles. Chitta vrittis, which is to say memories. Remember, we pointed out that if you're living in your thoughts, you're living a second behind reality all the time. You're living in memories. Because your thoughts are just produced, they're just the memories of what experiences that happen to the body, mind, intellect entity. So you're not present. Of course, you're present as the self, but you think, you don't realize that you're by living in your thoughts and identifying as the thoughts, you don't realize you're missing the essence of life, which is presence, not present, but presence. Those thoughts are only known because of the presence of awareness. And awareness is always present. It's never not present. Isn't that, whose website is that? Rory's? Somebody's got it. Huh?
Ted Schmidt.
Ted Schmidt.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Never not present. I wonder what happened to Ted. Does anybody know? No. Nobody knows. Disappeared. Funny. So, by samadhi, a yogi can remove cognized obstacles, chitta vrittis, which is to say memories, but not potential obstacles. What are the potential obstacles? The vasanas that are generating the memories. Where are the memories coming from? What's the cause of the memories? These are memories are here. What's the cause of the memories? Here. This causes this, and this causes this, and so on. And this causes this, seemingly causes it. Actually doesn't, but it seems to cause this. So this is subtler than this, so it's the cause of this. And somebody asked me today, why this world? Why Maya? Why this whole thing? Huh? And what's the answer? Nobody knows.
Well, we're an effect of it anyway, so where the jiva is an effect of it, how could you understand the cause?
That's
So,
it. There you go.
What do you say?
The jiva is an effect. The effect is gross, and the cause is more subtle. So a gross thing can never understand a subtle thing. A subtle thing can understand a gross thing, but a gross thing can't understand a subtle thing.
But also all cause and effect are mithya.
That's right,
Yes.
Luciana. Cause and effect is all mithya. But cause and effect's necessary. We need the cause and effect teaching. It's a preliminary teaching. It leads you up to here. And then we drop it later on when we come to Mandukya Upanishad and other Upanishads, all the other Upanishads. There we have what's called the non-origination teaching. Non-origination means there is no cause and there is no effect. But I need the cause and effect is a setup, and it gets me to the point where I can let go of cause and effect and stop asking why. Nobody knows. Enlightened people don't know, and unenlightened people don't know. We can infer. We can say, well, the cause must be because, and because, what is the cause? Because every minute, every person is trying to get rid of a sense of limitation. That's the very first teaching, isn't it? That I don't want security for security's sake. I don't want pleasure for pleasure's sake. I don't want love or recognition or fame or any of those things for their own sake. I want to what? I want to get rid of the insecurity, the loneliness, the whatever it is. Understand? So my goal is not ever my real goal. My real goal is what? To get rid of limitation. Because that's all we do all day long. I was just explaining to somebody that you know, at night when it gets dark, we don't have proper lights. But I went to a lot of trouble to install lights, and I couldn't get them working. So I had to talk to Daniel. Daniel, he's a clever guy, and he gets into things. He's really smart. And so we went out and we started looking at all these wires and all this sort of thing. And then we found a plug, and it was kind of wet and dirty, and I'd obviously removed it at some time. And when we just plugged it back in, now we got lights. And so that thought, which has been bothering me for like, I don't know, for weeks, that thought's gone. Why did I go there? To get rid of the thought. Because the thought, the not knowing was bothering me. So there's always something that I don't know, and that's painful. Well, why is it painful? Because my nature is knowledge. My nature is knowing. We can call it knowledge. In the old days, I've taken that away from the teaching, because in the old days, the self was just called knowledge. Because in those days, people didn't have so much problem with it, or at least in 100, 200 years ago. But now people have a big problem with the word knowledge, because you got alternative knowledge and alternative facts. Knowledge is just facts, but now people just generate facts, which are not facts at all, which are just beliefs and opinions. And so the very use of the word knowledge is a problem. That's why we need to be very careful when we say the word knowledge, what we actually mean by knowledge. And the self is, it's the knowing principle. You could say it's knowing, or the knower, or knowledge. Because you can't have knowledge without consciousness, can you? So, but the cause of knowledge is consciousness. So the ultimate knower is what? Awareness. And I know I'm aware, and I know I'm conscious. Only thing I don't, so I'm at least 2/3 enlightened already. But Vedanta comes along and says, you're limitless, you're free. In other words, you're not modified or changed by what you know or experience. And that's news to me, simply because I've identified myself with the body. He just says it very simply here. It's just the body, identifying yourself with the body. And you've been taught you were the body from day one. Don't touch me. A man grabs a woman inappropriately, and the woman will say, "Don't touch me." Now, did he touch her? No, he didn't touch her. He touched the body. But she thinks that, so ladies, don't worry if the guy's grabbing you. Not to worry. He's only grabbing your body. He can't grab you, so you're okay. That's a joke. Yeah, that includes you people who are watching on TV, on the internet. That's a joke. But by samadhi, a yogi can remove cognized obstacles, chitta-vritis, which is say memories, but not potential obstacles, because the experience of samadhi produces what? A samadhi vasana. Because it solves a problem. Doesn't it? It solves the problem of limitation. Because when you shut down your mind, you suppress the vasanas, so you solve the problem, and that's a nice state. Yoga nidra, the sleep of yoga, solves the problem. Which ties the yogi to the experience of samadhi, because it's a special experience produced by what? Action. If you have an experience that's produced by action, it's going, there's a desire involved, and that's going to what? Generate a vasana, and that's going to cause an attachment to that particular experience. Samadhi here is defined as a particular experience. And what?
Samadhi becomes an object?
Pardon?
Samadhi becomes an object.
Samadhi's an object. It's another object. Yogic samadhi. Now, that means, so we're going to have, you're going to see, Shankar's going to do that for us. Shankar's going to redefine the word samadhi. So, because we use the word samadhi too. Yeah, but we use it in a different sense. So we're going to see how Shankara defines it. Shankar's our guy. Shankaracharya Madhyamam. In the middle of Shankara. Shankara set the whole thing straight about, 12th century, 13th centuries ago. So no, there's nothing more to learn after that. All the Prakarana texts, there's a few still Prakarana texts coming out now and again. The last one came out in the 14th century, Vidyaranya Swami. But there's no need for them anymore because it's all clarified, which is good. We don't need any more workbooks. Prakarana means workbooks. In other words, practical texts that deal with the practical aspects of ignorance. He says here. So he says, the yogi, which ties the yogi to the experience of samadhi, an obstacle that's difficult to remove. Operative word, remove. Why? Because samadhi's bliss. It immediately produces a desire for further samadhis. Simple. Vasana, kama, karma. And what is it? Karma produces a vasana. A vasana produces a desire. And the desire produces karma, which produces a vasana, which produces a desire, which produces a vasana, which 12, verse 12. One's tendencies are created, I just said, one's tendencies are created by thoughts and actions. These tendencies manifest in present and future births. Now, we got a problem with the birth idea. What does birth mean?
It's just a new thought, isn't it?
Yeah, just a new thought. It's identification with the next thought. The thought that's coming up at the time. When you identify with a thought, you're born into that thought. In other words, you're identified and attached with that thought. And that means to solve your problem, you've got to die to that thought. Vedanta's dying to the thought. It's withdrawing your identification from the thought. Then you die to the thought. Then the thought doesn't have the power to what? To bind you. And if you're not subtle enough to understand that, then the idea that you're going to be reborn in a new body, and I explained how that works. You know, how the sperm and the egg come together and get set up in the uterine wall, and the fertilized sperm and egg gets there, and then after like a few weeks, whatever it is, then the Ishvara, what does it do? It takes the subtle body out of your physical body, and it sends it into the new physical body. That's when the woman becomes aware that there's somebody else there. She doesn't even know she's pregnant. But once, at some point, she feels like, oh, there's somebody else here. They'll tell you. You feel the presence of an entity. And that entity is what? The subtle body of someone who what? Whose vasanas were required your vasanas. It's all matched on the basis of vasanas. Ishvara knows what vasanas you need to get situated here, and or not, and gives you that mother and father that you need. But you didn't choose your mother and father consciously. It's your vasanas chose it. In other words, Ishvara chose it for you.
Like algorithms.
It's an algorithm. Absolutely. This is the algorithm for rebirth. Birth and rebirth is duality, and it's an algorithm. It may not, the words I use, you have to don't take them literally, although they're good enough to understand the principle. We could use different ways of talking about it, but the principle is the same. The principle is eternal. So these tendencies manifest in present and future births. Now that means what? In fact, there really isn't any time, is it? Is there? There's no first. So in other words, you're not born, it says here. In fact, there is no time because past tendencies generate thoughts and actions which are required to generate future thoughts and actions. Like a chicken and an egg. Now, a chicken is born out of an egg. But do you have an egg without a chicken? So what came first, the chicken or the egg? There's no first. Huh? They're just different ways of looking at a particular phenomenon, that's all. One from the egg level and the other from the chicken level. But what's true at this level is true at this level, because what? There's really no difference. So you can't say the vasanas cause the karma or the karma caused the vasanas, because they're mutually dependent. Now anything that's one thing depends upon something else is not real, is it? What's real is what stands alone. It means what doesn't depend upon anything. That's what real means. It's non-dependent. That's what freedom means. Freedom means non-dependent. There's no bondage, no dependence. And Vedanta just what? Reveals the fact that you're an independent entity. We don't create the freedom. Freedom's not something you gain. Freedom's something you discover when you hear this teaching. Good. Yeah, that's right. The head should go like this. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Like a chicken and egg, it's impossible to determine which came first, which further leads to the conclusion that there is no first. There is no cause and effect. If there is no first, there's no second, and there's no last, is there? Huh? So that means what? Time is not real. Thank God, huh? Thank God for this teaching. Otherwise, God is time. And Krishna says, I am, speaking to Arjuna, I am time. I am time, devourer of wombs. Huh? It scared the shit out of him. Oh my God. Huh? Anyway. However, insofar as humans believe they are time-bound, as long as you think you were born, and that karma is real, and you think that karma is real for you, they cannot avoid the karma fructifying now. You have no choice about what's happening now, because it's fructifying. It's already in play, right? That's why you shouldn't worry about it, right? What karma can you avoid? Karma that's going to what? Manifest later. Oh, I don't have to go through this again. Assuming what? Assuming what? They change their behavior. Why? Because the behavior is producing the vasanas that are causing karma to fructify. if they change their behavior, huh? Then then the karma doesn't come, does it? That's what karma yoga is about. Beautiful, huh? How beautiful is that? How subtle is that? How simple and elegant is that? And how do you change your behavior? You make a cognitive shift. You choose to do karma yoga. If you want to have the kind of life, if you want to have the kind of life that Ishvara wants for you, and you would want to have a kind of life that Ishvara wants for you, why? Because Ishvara knows way better than you do what's good for you. So why would you want to generate the karma that you want? In other words, according to your likes and your dislikes. Apart from what? Apart from coming to the conclusion that what? That Ishvara is the giving the karma, and Ishvara is generating the ignorance. So Ishvara is causing this whole cycle, and I needn't worry about it. It's my karma is going to happen whether I like it or not.
Whether I understand it or not.
Whether I understand it or not, whether I like it or not, whether I understand it or not, it's inexorable. It's already done. If it's already done, then what can I do about it?
Surrender.
Yeah, surrender just means understand it. If you understand it, the surrender comes automatically. Say, oh, okay. And think of the pressure, the relief. Oh, thank God. I can't worry about it. I don't need to worry about it.
So Ishvara is doing the attempts to control my karma as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any action that's done is done by ignorance, by Ishvara. Huh? You know, here it is. Just repeat it again. Desire-prompted actions result in rebirth, a long life or a short life, and determine the experiences of pleasure and pain that will be experienced in the future. Verse 13. Verse 14. Good actions result in the experience of pleasure. Improper actions result in the experience of pain. Oh, You see where we're getting Dharma in here now? It's working the moral dimension into it. All right. Good actions are those actions done with what? An eye to avoiding conflict with one's innermost nature. In other words, not going against your program, right? And also avoiding conflict with the universal values that are operating in every situation outside. Actions done without considering either your Swadharma or Ishvara Dharma, that's called Samanya Dharma, the general Dharma that applies to everything, or Swadharma means the Dharma that just applies to me. Actions done without considering either one of those two produce pain. Pain, suffering, pain. What's the implication? Do actions that are in harmony with your nature and consider what? Consider the situation and discover, be sensitive to the situations going on around you and respond appropriately to that, and you're good to go. In other words, just take your time to figure out how to respond. Don't just knee-jerk respond to the feelings that are coming up in your mind. That if you're all me-centered, how me, how I feel, or what I think, If you just sit back and let the feelings disappear, you'll see what's appropriate, huh? Then you're gonna be. No situation is going to be problematic for you. If you're obsessed by the me self, not the I self, the personal self, not the impersonal self, then you got problems. Experience depends upon the ever-changing gunas. All experiences, including pleasure, result in pain. With pleasure, what's the problem with pleasure?
You want more?
With pleasure, yeah, fear of renewed craving arises. Huh? Remember, I gave the example of when you're having sex and you're having your orgasm. What do you think? When am I going to do it next? This is so good, I've got to do it again. Well, if it's so good, then you wouldn't have to do it again, would you? You'd only have to have sex once, and then that would solve the problem, wouldn't it? Huh? If it was so good. But it isn't so good. Huh? It's painful. All you're doing is getting rid of a pain. The pleasures are erasing the pain, but what's it doing? It's producing navasana, which means what? That the pain's kind of coming back. And it comes back while you're enjoying the pleasure, because you're thinking, I need to do it again. That's painful. Think about it. I know, this is tricky. This is very tricky. This is one area where, I don't want to think too much. But if you think it through and you accept, if you're really a seeker of knowledge, if you think it through, this will kill that craving. You won't stop the pleasure. Pleasure is pleasure, but you won't expect that pleasure to last. That's all. Why would you expect it to last? Because you think you're not pleasurable. You don't take pleasure in yourself. If you took the pleasure as coming from yourself, then you'd be fine. I was just gonna, let me read, oh damn, I gotta read that. I read it last night, but I want to read it to you guys. But it's on here. I'll print it and then I'll read it to you. This lovely young man, I read it last night. Wasn't that amazing? I'll read it to you again, the group, later on this afternoon. I figured I finally got my printer working. No, thank Ishwaram. Experience depends upon the ever-changing gunas. All experiences, including pleasure, result in pain. With pleasure, fear of renewed craving arises. I chase or avoid experiences to gain the bliss that arises when the craving or aversion for the experience is removed. Unfortunately, the downside, unfortunately, I'm aware that craving for pleasure, pleasant objects, and aversion of negative objects is recycled by way of what? The agency of the unconscious mind. That's what the unconscious mind is. It's a recycling. This is your recycler. Prompting what? Further craving and aversions. So, you want to recycle, but you don't want to recycle your vasanas. Yes, please recycle. Recycle all the ordinary stuff, but your vasanas don't recycle it. So we're against recycling. That's a joke. I'm talking to Google. I'm talking to their algorithm, because if they send me another one, I'm gonna talk to them. I've decided I'm gonna try to educate them. I know it's useless, but
Who knows?
huh?
Who knows?
Who knows? Who knows? Yeah, that's right. 16. Only pain which, we just presented this idea. Only pain which is yet to manifest can be avoided. In other words, future pain can be avoided. Unmanifest pain is unmanifest pain, the pain vasana, is avoided by renunciation of the desire for a particular object, comma, investigating one's values, comma, and performing actions as a service. In other words, karma yoga, jnana yoga, and the yoga of the three gunas. What do? They neutralize binding likes and dislike and produce sattvic bliss. The point of all of that is to get sattvic bliss. Right? Then what? Then it's possible to what? Then that is dispassion. Sattva mimics sat. And it's momentarily as good as sat. That's why we're going. That's why we're headed up here for sattva. Pain is due to identification with the experiencing entity. Is due to identification by the experiencing entity with objects of experience. You know this. Identifying as a doer-enjoyer causes pleasure and pain. Identifying as the non-experiencing witness produces bliss because the nature of the witness is what? Bliss. Anandam. Sat, Chit, Anandam. It exists, Sat, it's conscious, Chit, and what? It's bliss, Anandam. Anandam means it doesn't begin and end. That's bliss. That's immortality. When you know you don't begin and you don't end, you're immortal. That's called bliss. Sat Chit Ananda. The self is called the Sat Chit Ananda Atman. That's what you are. Identification with the doer is a hardwired, unconscious process difficult to detect. Ignorance knows how to hide itself. How does it hide itself? It makes everything sexy, juicy, novel, exciting. That's how it hides itself. So Ishvara says, I'll fool those bastards. I'll make this. And of course, they're the doer. Oh, God, I love her. She's so hot. Yeah, she's hot until she's cold. Believe me. But I don't see the cold part. I always see the hot part. And I think, oh, in my presence, she'll be hot all the time. Because I'm hot. No, you're not. Understood. However, these are all upside down sides, you can see just by. However, unless it is consciously dismantled by it meaning what? This doer-enjoyer entity, this thought that is making up this doer-enjoyer entity, unless it is consciously dismantled by cultivating alertness and taking a stand as the witness, it will keep the yogi firmly entrenched in where? Samsara! As the witness. There's a mistake here. Okay. Verse 18. Objects of experience are what? Permutations and combinations of what? Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Maya is defined as, we have all the definitions. Vedanta defines everything. Maya is Trigunatmika Maya. Maya is three gunas. So what? So everything that appears here is what? Coming from here. See that? There's only three colors here, and there's only three colors here. Right? Because so this is a cause. The cause, the Maya is. This is how you recognize Maya. You recognize the self by the word I, and you recognize Maya by what? By whether your mind is sattvic, rajasic, or tamasic, or some combination or permutation or combination of those three energies. So all this is available for experience. The I is available for experience, and what? And the not I, i.e. Maya, the world, is also available for experience. It's all experiential. Understand? These three gunas, they exist. Why? Why do they exist? This is what Vedanta says. Okay, this is your answer. Somebody wants to know why. So it's going to give you a why, a nice little bedtime story here. Why it is. Okay? They exist for the experiencer to experience the universe and or to gain liberation. One of them will give you what? Experience of the universe, and knowledge of the other one will give you liberation.
But the experience is part of the creation, though.
Yeah.
So that doesn't answer the why.
Well, yeah, it's for one of those two reasons.
Okay.
For people who want to be free and people who want to experience. That's all.
What if I'm already free?
Huh?
What
But if
I'm-
you're already free, then you're not interested in Vedanta.
But how come if I am
I'm not
Well,
interested.
if I-
I'm not interested in Vedanta. I lost interest in Vedanta 50 years ago.
If
Huh?
I am full and complete,
Yeah.
if I am free, I don't depend on anything.
Yeah.
I'm blissful.
Yeah.
How I am free,
See, you
So
can't
then
even.
I
You
am
can't
free
even
to
think.
act?
Huh?
then I am free to act.
You're free to act, or you're
But
free
if
to.
I'm actionless,
You're free to act. If you're not free to act, then you're not free, are you? Like I was thinking about this mask thing, because masks are an issue now. Well, if you say, you're not free if you're not free to wear a mask, are you? Now the anti-mask people, they say I'm not free because you're making me wear a mask, aren't they? But you're not free unless you can wear a mask.
so where does actionless and fit here?
Well, actionless just means knowledge, means what? Awareness. There's no choice about it. It's already determined by Ishvara. Okay, that didn't work. Okay, let's see. So let's see if we can find out what your question is.
Okay, actually I did wrote something yesterday.
Okay, all right,
Because
good.
I have this thought annoying me.
Yeah, of course, that's right, and we're going to try to get rid of
But
it.
if I am whole and complete, I am free.
Yes.
So if I am free, doesn't this freedom nullifies the actionless of the self?
Now go slowly again. If I'm free, then what?
If I am free, doesn't this freedom
Yeah.
nullifies actionless of the self?
It nullifies action and it nullifies actionless, doesn't it? Because actionlessness depends upon action, and action depends upon actionlessness. So it neutralizes action and actionlessness.
So, but the question, I think it's more like that who's wondering also about, I am limitless, I am free,
Yeah.
I'm existence
If you,
consciousness.
yeah, that's right. If you think you're this, if you think you're the self,
Uh-huh.
those words apply to that. Yeah.
So why do I need creation? How come that's
Well, okay, but you're confusing this with that. I doesn't need creation.
No, doesn't need, but how come
So-
it appears? How come it appears in me, the creation?
Well, we just discussed that earlier with Dominique. Said because the effect can't know the cause. Who's asking the question now?
I'm wondering the same.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I talk to myself and I say, who's talking to who?
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, so it's the jiva talking to
Yeah,
myself?
the jiva's talking to the self, and the self's talking to the jiva, but I'm not the self or the jiva, am I?
Not the same, but not different.
No, I'm the one that knows the self and the jiva. I'm one of the ones watching this silly conversation between myself and my jiva. Right?
Because the self is just a thought.
The self is just a thought. That'll give you access to who you are. But the self depends. Our word self depends upon a not self, doesn't it? See how that works? So it all depends on how do you know what you know. Now, what did you know? Now, what did you describe as your knowledge? The knowledge was there's a conversation going between me and myself, right? There's
Me?
inner-
Me, you mean me?
Well,
It's
me,
myself.
it doesn't matter who the me is. This is me or that's me. The point is, it doesn't matter if you think this is me or you think that's me. What's happening is there's a conversation between two me's.
Duality.
Well, no, yeah, that's duality or not. But how do you know that?
Because I'm the knower.
Because you're the knower. Yeah, because you're aware, and you're the knower because you're aware. So that I that is aware, is that having a conversation?
No, it's just aware.
Yeah. In other words, I'm just aware of this funny conversation that's going between me and this. The whole of Vedanta is setting up a conversation between what? Between this and this. And this one's saying one thing and this one's saying something else. And so they're talking back and forth. That's all Vedanta is talking back and forth between this and this. Huh? For what purpose? To get it clear the difference between this and this.
And this is manifested now. When it unmanifests, then there's no creation, there's no Ishvara, there's no Maya,
That's
there's
right.
no ignorance.
And there's no question, there's no conversation. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
You sure?
No, not sure.
Okay, you know you're not sure, but do you know you're not sure?
Yes.
If you know you're not sure, then you're sure.
Thank you.
Right? If you know you're not sure, you're sure. If you know you're not enlightened, you're enlightened.
So practically there is no relationship between the self and Maya at all.
That's correct.
That's all.
That's what's called freedom or moksha.
Yes.
Knowing that there's no relationship. As long as you got relationship, you got what? Transactions. This is a transactional reality here. There's transactions taking place this way, here, horizontally, but there's no transactions vertically.
don't skip Ishvara.
Huh?
They say here, you don't skip Ishvara.
Yeah, you can't skip Ishwara. You can't jump up to here. You need to understand the Ishwara factor.
But this understanding is happening in Jiva, in the mind.
That in the self appearing as Jiva.
But if you
It's
watch-
that's what's so weird about it is that the self can't be confused, but the self is confused.
The self is confused.
Yeah,
But does the self know the confusion?
huh?
The self knows the confusion rather than it is.
Well, it knows the confusion if it hears Vedanta, but if it's confused, it's going to need Vedanta to tell it, isn't it?
So Ishvara,
How are you going to get rid of ignorance without this?
If there's confusion, then
Yeah.
there's a relationship between the self
and the jiva.
and Mithya.
Yeah, and Jiva, yeah, that's right.
So, but you're saying there's no relationship.
I'm saying there's no relationship. That ignorant, that's right.
In the, okay, I got it. Yeah,
So we can say that
Because you're aware that there's no relationship, aren't you?
I got it.
So
It's apparent
and no
confusion.
matter what object is appearing, it can't appear unless you're there to know it, unless you're aware of it. Tell me something you're not aware of. Please tell me something that you're not aware of. Come on.
You
You
undermine it by saying that.
you can't, because as soon as you say you're not aware of the Gagabugai,
Yeah.
then now you're aware of the Gagabugai.
Sometimes I think that the self was, myself was so bored. That's why Ishvara, by his compassion, he created the creation.
Yourself was so what?
Bored.
Boring.
Boring.
Yeah, well, that's a common. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, there's a certain kind of truth to that. The self is boring, but boring for whom?
Yeah.
Is it boring for the self or is it boring for the jiva? It's boring for the jiva. That's why the jiva wants a whole story, wants to be spiritual, wants to be worldly, wants to be whatever it is. Because just being is boring unless what? You know that being, just being, is total satisfaction.
If it is, why do I need the creation?
You
That's
don't. Yeah, you obviously don't. And there is no creation for you. There's no creation for me. I don't see a creation. I don't see it.
we can say that there's creation, there's Maya, just because the self is so free that it is free not to be free.
Yeah, it's free not to be free. There you go. That's good.
So what's the meaning of non-duality if there is duality?
Non-duality doesn't mean anything. It depends upon the idea of duality. So duality and non-duality are teaching tools. Huh?
It's amazing.
Duality and non-duality are teaching tools that neutralize each other and reveal the fact that you're aware of what? These concepts. See, how are your thoughts known? How? All these are thoughts. Remember, we said experience is nothing but your thoughts. Now, how are your thoughts known? Do the thoughts know themselves?
No.
Do the thoughts know the objects that they know? No. Why? Because everything here is insentient. Thoughts don't think. You can, Thoughts don't think. Maybe you think thoughts think.
Not even
If you think thoughts think and they're conscious, that's because what? Because awareness pervades every thought, and it's so subtle you can't separate the awareness from the thought. So it looks like the thoughts are thinking. But that's only because you can't see that. You can't experience it. The way you, so the only way you're going to solve it is what? Is through this teaching. That's how you're going to see the difference between thoughts and awareness. And once you see there's a difference between thoughts and awareness, you see that I'm aware of the difference.
Is it comparable to the projection of a dream, where the dream person and the dream context and so on actually have nothing to do with the dreamer? Actually, it's like a projection.
It's like that. It's like that's an example that's used in Panchadasi.
And so it means that sometimes there is this dreamless sleep, which is like the self without any confusion.
Yeah.
And sometimes there is a dream, which is the self with a confusion.
With a confusion, yeah.
Can you compare it this way? Yeah.
Is this yeah? Nicole had a.
So, from the point of view of awareness, consciousness, existence, the self,
Yeah.
there is no notion of awareness, consciousness, existence. the
There's
self.
no what?
There's no notion.
Now.
There's no thought of. So that then that negates even the thought. the
No,
idea.
that's right.
Oh.
Yeah.
So from that point of view, there's no such thing as awareness, consciousness, the self.
No, that's right.
You can't even use those terms.
No, you can't even use those terms. All those terms are just what? To remove ignorance. Because nobody needs to tell you that you're conscious, do they? Or that you're, huh? Does anyone need to tell you that? No one ever did. Because it's obvious, it's self-evident that you're conscious. And if you're conscious, you know that you're not, you know that you didn't generate your consciousness. Therefore what? You must be consciousness. And what about existence? Did anyone ever tell you that you exist? No. No one ever explained it. No one ever said that to you, ever. So, So what's my problem then? The problem is that when I say the word I, and I is the immediate manifestation of consciousness here. So when you say the word I, what do you include your body and mind with that I?
Mistakenly.
Yeah, mistakenly you do, that's right. But you don't know it's mistakenly. You unconsciously include the body and the mind with the I. But that's why we need to make it clear that the I doesn't have a body and a mind, that consciousness and existence has no body and mind. You can understand that. Yes, Nicole?
So those words, awareness, consciousness, existence, self, are just teaching tools as well.
That's it.
And I can just forget about them.
You can forget
And
about
then
them.
Where does that leave you? Leaves you
In the void.
Well, isn't just knowing that enough?
Yes, well, that's what I think. So I mean, if you know that,
Well,
you
what's
don't need to know the rest.
you don't need to know the rest. That's right. That's why I say you don't have to worry about knowledge and you don't have to worry about ignorance.
Okay. Well, that's pretty cool.
That's super cool. Because do I want to be a seeker all my life? No. And that's why Vedanta says Vedanta ends the seeking. When you understand Vedanta, you just stop seeking. You don't seek to change yourself or to change the world. The world's fine. The world's the world. It does what it does. Ishwar, I have nothing to do with it. Ishwar takes care of the world. What use is it to involve myself with this stuff? It's just entertaining, maybe. You know, it's just entertaining to see something that I know isn't real, trying to be real, appearing as if it was real. That's funny. In the very beginning, when Krishna's talking to Arjuna, you know, the narrator is called Sanjaya. It's the writer, the poet who wrote the thing. He presents it as the narrative of a writer, and Sanjaya is the one who's telling the story to a blind king. Blind king means to an ignorant person. And he says Krishna as if smiling, because Krishna has just told Arjuna that he's the self, and in a very clear, simple, straightforward way, and Arjuna doesn't get it. And Krishna smiles inwardly because he knows that Arjuna is the self, but he doesn't think he's the self, and that's funny to him. But of course, he doesn't let Arjuna see his smile, because he doesn't want to hurt Arjuna. He doesn't want to, hurt Arjuna's feelings and make him feel inferior. He wants to encourage Arjuna and make him feel comfortable, because Arjuna has just asked him to be his guru, so he doesn't want Arjuna to feel that the guru thinks he's better than Krishna. And in fact, Krishna says, I'm not going to fight, so you better tell me what to do. Think about that in that story. So the guru ends up what? Driving the chariot of the disciple. What? Do you ever hear that teaching in the Neo teaching? That the guru is the disciple of the disciple? The guru is the devotee of the devotee? Do you ever hear that? You don't hear that. Because they think that the guru is superior to the disciple, but in our tradition we don't think they're superior or not superior, so we can take the position of what, a servant. Like I say, I just do this to serve you, that's all. Because, it's nice to do that. You want to know something, I know something, I'm happy to serve you. I don't gain by doing it, I don't lose by doing it, it's just a pleasant experience. And I'm free to enjoy this experience or not. So yeah, these are just teaching tools, and Nididhyasana is getting rid of the teaching remnants. I think we had this discussion before. We've had it now for several months, actually. It was this about you don't want to be left hung over with the teaching. Understand? I don't believe any of this.
Because
you're not a believer.
There is no belief.
No. It's just like driving an automobile. I know how to drive this automobile. That's all. Anybody could do this. But you need some practice. I'm a good driver because I've done it for 50 years, so it seems easy and natural and so forth and so on. It took a lot of, work and practice to get to this level, but this is just for enjoyment, for your pleasure and for my pleasure. You were always this. You were always only awareness. You're free and you're immortal. That's what our saying is. So don't worry. Don't try to depend upon. Don't try to cling on to any of this stuff here. Enjoy it for what it is, but no need to hang on to it. Grasp that. It's so ugly. This greed, this grasping. When you know who you are and you see it, it kind of makes you sick to see people, how greedy they are for love, how needy they are for pleasure or food or who knows, whatever it is. It's kind of revolting, really. You feel kind of disgusted at yourself when you see that in yourself. You feel disgusted. Oh, Jesus. That's, we have sort of healthy contempt for it because knowing who you are, it's just totally inappropriate. This, or this fear stuff. These people who just love fear and I think fear is just the greatest thing. They think, oh, they're so smart because nobody's going to pull the wool over my eyes. No, sirree. I'm looking after myself. And they're all suspicious like anything. Yeah, everything they hear, they've got the suspicion filter in there. It's just as bad as the greed filter. Some people don't ask any questions. They're just greedy for everything. And others are like doubting every single thing. Oh, don't like this, don't like that. They're out to get me. Ooh. I guess let's see.
There is an announcement to do for the tests.
What?
If you could do the announcement for the tests.
Oh yeah, okay. So we have some tests. If you yeah.
Give us all this.
Yeah.